Hey everybody, welcome back to Lucky, episode 13.
Oh man!
Wait, no, that's not right. It's episode 14.
Oh.
I know. I got everybody excited. I was so excited to announce it as Lucky episode 13. I'm like, we're in October. This is Lucky episode 13. It's not. It's episode 14.
Darn.
I know. It still is Lucky. Equally as Lucky. Anyway, it's a little bit unhinged, and Casey's here.
Hello.
And we're going to continue our trip through 2017 because what an interesting year for media it was. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't feel like it was as long ago as it actually is.
Yeah, something about 2020 to 2023 just never happened, I guess.
That COVID time compression is wild. Because I looked at the list of movies. We're going to talk about movies of that year because, I mean, it was a superhero movie year, as many of the movies were. But there's also other standout, outstanding movies. And don't come after me, but I'm going to call Star Wars a superhero movie, even though it's not, but it is in this framing that I'm using compared to some of the other ones we'll talk about.
It's all owned by Disney, so why not?
Yeah, just a Disney potpourri of movies. But yeah, it was a really super interesting year. It had some of the most interesting movies, and then it also had a Transformers movie. So there we go. I want to start with the box office because first off, I didn't even realize, I knew it was a big movie, but when you think about the way people talk about Star Wars in general, the fact that The Last Jedi, which released that year, grossed $517 million and was the top of the box office that year, I would have thought that people were so frustrated with it that they didn't go see it that much comparatively.
Well, I feel like, the second one was not very well received, but I think people wanted to see the closeout of it.
That's fair. I haven't seen it. I've read the graphic novel, but I never took myself to go see it.
I saw it, but I don't remember anything specific from it besides the twist.
Yeah, the twist. I am in general a Star Wars fan. I like Star Wars. I like the universe they built around it. There's a lot of wonderful stories you can tell in the Star Wars universe. I was already sick of Star Wars being about the Skywalkers a long time ago.
Well, the first movie was about the Skywalkers too, so.
Yeah, but I was like, okay, you get the first trilogy, Skywalkers, and then the pre-trilogy is basically the Skywalkers. And I was like, ooh, this is a chance for it to kind of not be about the Skywalkers, but it still kind of was about the Skywalkers.
Yeah, that's true, because they did bring them. It would have been nice if it was a completely different character who wasn't connected to any of...
It didn't have to be. You would have still made $1 billion doing anything, really. It didn't have to connect. It wasn't like this story told some kind of generationally unique Skywalker story that it was so necessary. You know? But it was the top grossing movie for 2017. And it grossed $620 million. It's almost the least interesting of the movies we're going to talk about here, of the top of them.
Okay. Which
might be unfair. I don't know. That may not be true. We'll keep going because now that I'm looking at this list, that really may not be true. The second highest grossing movie in 2017 was Beauty and the Beast. Was that the live action remake?
It was, with Emma Watson. I saw it. I enjoyed it.
How did you feel about it?
I liked it well enough. Throwback to a previous episode, La Belle et la Bête's my favorite movie of all time.
Which is why this was important.
Which was from the 40s.
Yeah.
And then Beauty and the Beast is my favorite of the cartoon, is my favorite of the Disney movies. But there were parts of it that I didn't enjoy. Artistically, it looked nice. And they stuck to the original story pretty well, had the same songs. Like, they didn't pull a Mulan and try to make
Right.
it serious or anything, but
Really did that with Mulan for some reason.
I didn't enjoy some of the acting in it. Some of the
Okay.
voices were not as cutesy as they were in the cartoon.
Sure.
So they didn't change it enough to make it feel unique, and then having the
Right.
different voices, I didn't love it as much as I thought I would, but I still enjoyed it. It's worth seeing
All right.
compared to
see.
some of the other live action Disneys.
I dig it. I like the Beauty and the Beast story okay in a general sense. I've seen the animated many times. It's got lots of fun parts. There's the more I think about it, the more I remember of it. Like,
Yeah.
just it's ingrained in the back of my brain. So all time great. But I don't know that there's any animated anything that I ever need to see live action. And anyone. I don't know that there's a one movie or cartoon or show. It doesn't excite me to see it live action at all.
Well, some of them I think that they've done a really good job with, like the ones where they make a live action version for the villains. So
Oh, sure.
Maleficent was pretty
Sure.
good. Cruella, like anything where they've actually changed the story, so
Right.
you're not expecting it to be a complete
Yes.
remake of the original.
Right. They make a different angle on it and then
Yeah.
they live action it at the same time.
Yeah, or like way back in the day when they made the live action of the Jungle Book, and they made it much more. Well, I say that I was too young. I don't remember if that was actually any good or not, but I
Right.
feel like they did a good job.
You
with
know,
that.
it's so funny. I was going to say the same thing. I'm like, the Jungle Book probably gets a pass because I was just like, yeah, this is fine. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
still fun in a different way.
Yeah,
Maybe just my loss of childhood wonder has affected my the nostalgia connected to it more than anything
Yeah.
else. I don't know. This
Or-
is an aside, but me and some of my work friends were talking about Joker, the new Joker that came out recently, and I was like, I'm of the place where it's like, the reason that I know and care about the Joker is a version that movie will never be. And so it might as well just be serious people with mental issues, the movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's so disconnected. It's its own kind of art, and I understand why it exists, but it's so removed. Like, the Joker is... I'm just the way I said it is it sniffed its own farts too much. Like, we're talking about a guy who has a permanent Joker face burnt on him, and he has a bang gun that he sometimes murders people with, and he sprays acid on their face to make their face curl up. Like, when I think about all that, I'm just like, how that turned into an arty film somehow is kind of crazy to me.
that's a good point. But speaking of Batman stuff, because I was going to make this point that cartoons to live action haven't translated very well in general, but live action to a cartoon remake
Yes.
usually does really well. I was
Yes.
going to bring up Tarzan to start with.
Tarzan, that's a good one. Yep.
Because I really liked the Disney
Yeah.
remake, and there were plenty of old Tarzan movies that were black and white.
Yep.
But Batman, so it was a comic first, don't get me wrong,
Sure,
but
sure,
there
sure.
was the live action show way back in the 70s?
Yeah, 60 Batman, yeah.
And then they came out with the animated series
Yep.
in the 90s, and it was great.
It was amazing.
So anytime that you can go that direction,
Yep.
it usually turns out really well.
Yeah, you can take a property and do that stuff, especially when you're talking about things that are fits of fancy, like we're talking about, like superhero and fantasy and talking animals and stuff like that. You usually can take the change in reality and have fun with it, where it's a
Yeah.
little bit more difficult for me in my brain to take that change in reality and put it into reality. And a lot of times they seem to want, what's a good example is the Pinocchio with Tom Hanks in it. It's not the Del Toro one. They make two Pinocchios at the same time. And Del Toro did one that people liked. It was Geppetto. The Geppetto with Tom Hanks.
I don't think I ever saw that.
It's
'Cause I saw,
god-awful.
I saw the Pinocchio with like Jonathan Taylor Thomas way back in the day.
Yeah. That one. See, those ones were tried to be fun, but these ones tried to make a story that couldn't already work modern. And then Disney also kind of likes to do a thing where they really lean into all the other Disney stuff that they've made inside of a Disney remake, which is
Yeah.
starting to get old with me. but it also just wasn't good.
Yeah.
Here's a good point. The pivotal part where Pinocchio hangs out with the bad kids and they do bad things like drink beer and they do that kind of stuff. In this one, they change it to where they destroy clocks that they were told they were allowed to destroy, and they drink root beer. And he doesn't participate. And they get in trouble for some reason, and he doesn't learn any lesson. So I don't understand why it was made, except I do in that, hey, this is a thing I loved, and I'm in a position to be able to remake it.
Yeah.
But there's so many other good things that went away that I would just love to see remade as animated series, modern, more than I want to see all that. Anyway, that's an aside, but the officially from this podcast, Beauty and the Beast, good. That's the official word from this podcast.
Not bad. Good. Yeah.
A movie that I will speak to that I enjoyed, the first one on this list that I will speak to that I enjoyed, but there's many, that came in third in 2017 is Wonder Woman.
I did enjoy Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman was great. It was a really good job. You know, it was back when I think the real impetus of this was somebody in Warner Brothers had a leaked memo where they were like, yeah, women-led superhero movies can't ever do anything. It can't ever be successful. And then this one came out and was hugely successful.
Yeah.
And it was fun. And it had weirdness because it's going to have weirdness. I mean, it's hard to not have weirdness based around a superhero that, when she first was around, lost power by bondage. So, you have to kind of gird your loins for expectations as a win. But it was fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah. I didn't see the sequel, but I heard
I
not
didn't
good
either.
things.
The sequels already have their own problems.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to superheroes, even though the other ones on this list were surprisingly well done. But this was before the Wonder Woman sequel, which just wasn't. But I will say this about the sequel. It had an idea. Like, they were going for that 84 vibe. Like, they had a plan. And sometimes it's okay to have a plan that doesn't work around a property that shouldn't have worked, that people said shouldn't have worked in the first place.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, fine. In our superhero trio of movies, at number 4, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which I enjoyed. I didn't see the most recent Guardians of the Galaxy because there was pet stuff and I didn't want to deal with it. But the second one was super fun. They did a good job making those movies fun, and the music was great. We talked about some of the music in the music episode because one of the soundtracks was part of one of the American Music Awards, a very viable award source. Talked about it. So Guardians 2, fun. Also, next up, Spider-Man Homecoming, because Holland is just a charming...
Yeah, he's precious.
He's just charming.
Yeah.
And you can go a long way when you have just a precious, charming lead character, and Zendaya is fantastic, too.
Yeah.
Like, everybody around it was just fantastic. And they had enough nostalgia, but a good story, and they let everybody be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, loved it. Loved it in general. The next one, 6, another movie that I guess I realized that people really loved this, but I didn't realize they loved it at this level, is It.
Oh, yeah. That's got a
People
huge following.
love it. Yeah, and it has a huge following. I don't know why I didn't get it, but I didn't get it. Did you see it? Are you an It fan?
No, it looked too scary for me.
Yeah, so you and I are in the same boat.
The clowns are a little bit too much for me.
You and I are in the same boat. It's a little scary. It's scary, and it's weird and scary, which is my least favorite kind of scary.
Yeah.
Is weird and scary.
And Bill Skarsgård, he does such a good job as Pennywise.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with that.
I don't even want to see the advertisements for it, quite honestly. I'm good. I'm good with all of it. But, we're in October, so it's time for thinking about such things, even though I'm not a fan of any of it.
There are some that I really like Mike Flanagan's stuff is pretty good, right. Haunting a Hill House and whatnot.
Yep.
And I can handle those, but there's a lot that I just can't handle.
Yeah.
And It is one of the ones that I cannot deal with.
Yeah. I can't handle most of them. I have a weak constitution for horror, and even thrillers are pushing it, usually for me. Borderline. I'm just too soft at heart, I guess.
Yeah.
That's probably not true. Number 8 on this list, which I shouldn't be surprised, This looking at this list and going down it, all of these movies surprised me, which is unfair because eventually some of them have to be on this list. But Despicable Me 3 was 8th on this list.
You know, I'm not surprised.
I'm not. It was especially of its type of movie, it was the top one. You know what I mean? Like of kind of kids fun movies, it was the number one.
Yeah.
One of them. I guess I would have expected a Lego Batman movie to be ahead of it. But
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel like Despicable Me always had such a draw for parents.
yeah.
So I'm not entirely surprised. Hello, mascot.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. It had a draw for parents, and it was by far the most advertised. It had the machine
Yeah.
behind it. Like, Minions are still everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people, part of what brought it up so high for a lot of kids' movies is that parents will take their kids to see it over
Sure,
and over again
sure,
because
sure.
it's something that the kids will actually enjoy that gives them a little bit of peace for a couple of hours.
Agreed. Yeah, yeah. Give those kids in their peace, I'll tell you what. I need that for me personally, which is why I don't have any kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just have dogs, so.
You have dogs. And they want just enough of your attention. You almost basically have kids.
Well, with the puppy right now, it does kind of
Yeah,
feel like that
yeah,
sometimes. She's a handful.
She's rambunctious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the only... I think the only time I ever say rambunctious is about children and dogs.
Yeah. But she's good.
Oh, yeah. She's absolutely
just
good.
Little high energy.
She just... Yeah. And she's muscles and joy. I mean, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I dig it. Number 9, a movie that... This is gonna take too much of the episode for me to go into, but it's Logan. First off, it's Logan. Mm-hmm. Okay. While I was in the movie, so I guess I should establish this. We haven't really talked about this too much. I am a comic book fan in a general sense.
You are?
Most importantly, I'm an X-Men fan above everything.
Yeah.
X-Men is my number one because X-Men told the story of people that didn't fit and tried to deal with not fitting.
Yeah.
And as a kid, that spoke to me. So I was very interested, and I think Hugh Jackman is great. And I was excited to see this kind of apocalypse, Logan end,
X.
yeah, kind of story. And I think it was well made, and Patrick Stewart's in it as Professor Xavier, and his kind of end of the story is good. But then when I left the movie and I started thinking about it, I was like, this was kind of dumbly written. And it was made for the stars to make the movie. It was one of those, it was like, you're going to see it because Hugh Jackman's going to tell you a story, Patrick Stewart's going to tell you a story. Everything else around it is going to be kind of hot garbage, and it was. It was just a vehicle to make those things happen.
Yeah. I don't remember enough of it because I know that I saw it in theaters,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't have a desire to ever go back and rewatch it, which, to be fair, I don't do that for most movies
Sure.
these days.
Yeah. This would be the kind of movie that if it was done right, I would be wanting to go back and see it. And I don't ever want to see it again.
Yeah.
Because then I have to think about it and I have to think about what they did. But it's a movie, it's one of those rare movies that I'm not unhappy I went to see it in the theater. I'm glad I saw it once and I'm good.
And it did kind of pave the way for some stuff because wasn't that
Yes.
the first R-rated superhero movie?
Was that before or after?
Because I think it's what opened up
Yeah, I think you're right. Yep.
getting Deadpool and a lot of the other more serious.
Yep. Yep.
Well, I say serious. I don't think that Deadpool's necessarily a
But
serious character,
serious
but like
in that
mature.
way. Yes, agreed. And it did that, and it did that really well, and it wasn't afraid to let that be part of its story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it was a valuable film, and I don't regret that it happened. I just now looking back on it, wish it was just a little bit better.
Yeah.
Now, a movie that I think is exactly what it was supposed to be, and they always are. Okay, to finish off the top 10, a movie that has no airs about what it is, and I appreciate that about it, even though I probably haven't watched all of them. But The Fate of the Furious,
Oh, yeah.
yes, in the Fast and the Furious series.
What a fun time that is.
You know what? I'm not mad about it. I appreciate that they somehow are campy and serious at the same time,
Yeah.
but they never go too far in either direction. Mm-hmm. Like they rein it in enough to try to keep everything feasible, and then they do silly things like people dying and they come back to life, and then they shoot their cars to space, and you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like they just do all the things.
Yeah. Got a little ridiculous. I saw a Fast 10,
Fast
I think,
10. Yeah.
last year. And the plane scene, that was a little ridiculous. But and I do not remember which one's
I don't either.
Fate of the Furious, but
I don't remember either.
I have no idea what's in the story for that one. But you know,
couldn't
it was a
matter.
good time.
Yeah, you know what? It couldn't matter. Like one of them, who knows which one? They needed to get across a bridge, and the bridge was collapsing, and there was like a cable hanging from the bridge. So Dom grabbed it and swung his car across the bridge on the cable. Like that's what happens.
I mean, I've seen Vin Diesel's arms. I believe
Hey,
it.
look, I'm not saying it's infeasible. I'm just saying, how dare they? So that's the top 10. Mostly superhero-y, but Despicable Me's in there. It's in there. Beauty and the Beast did great. Fate and the Furious. Other notable movies, Justice League came out that year.
All right.
It was fine.
I don't know that I actually saw it. I saw Batman versus Superman, but I don't think I ever went back for Justice League.
I have a buddy that's a very big DC fan and kind of superhero fan, and he really liked the Snyder cut of that, or whatever the extended cut of that was. He enjoyed that a lot more than he enjoyed regular version. I said they barely deserved to get my money the first time.
Yeah.
I'm not giving them my money for more.
Yeah.
The DC just tried, and they haven't figured it out. I don't know if they ever will.
Yeah. I will say that for me, a lot of the DC movies, the ones I've seen, because I still haven't seen Justice League, I do appreciate the more serious tone that they take.
Sure.
Because Marvel, a lot of the reason why I got burned out with the Marvel movies is some of the comedic timing was just too
Sometimes
much.
Too much. Yeah, no, I understand. Sometimes it was too much all the time.
Yeah.
They undercut every serious moment
with a joke.
comedy.
Yeah. So I did appreciate that it went back to a more serious tone compared to what Marvel had been doing for the last several years.
Yeah. They did it. They did that. It just wasn't that good. Unfortunately, is the problem.
And if our listeners hear the growling,
Yeah,
it's not out of anger, it's out of tug of war.
That's right. We're just playing. We're out in these streets, having a. I was gonna say an octopus battle, but that sounded way weirder than I wanted it to sound. Dunkirk.
Oh yeah, that never saw it.
I didn't either. I heard it.
Somebody won tug of war.
Yeah, we had a tug of war winner. Everybody that saw it was like, "Yeah, this is very war," and I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. And there's a lot of them that I hesitate to watch out of war movies, and then I do watch them, and they're good.
Sure,
but it's still not something I go out of my way to watch. My grandmother was a very huge fan of war movies, and she watched a ton of them, and I just could never get into it the way she did.
Yeah, I can't. I couldn't either. My family didn't really care about them. Fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know. I don't have any real attachment to them. Dunkirk. Oh yeah, we were talking about war movies. Dunkirk is a war movie. It did very well. Made over 180 million. I think you can get away with like one epic war movie a year. Pretty much. Mm-hmm. And this, I think that was the one, I think
like one per year is too many.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But I mean, you can get away with more than one per year, for sure. Other notable movies, so we've got I can call this an animated twosome, Coco and Lego Batman.
Both very good.
Both very good. Both standout movies for the year. I think still well watched. I bet if I looked at their lifetime growth, which I guess is hard when it's streaming stuff at this point.
Yeah, it's hard to say nowadays.
Yeah, but I think if we had that, they would do very well. In total, both very popular, well remembered, well enjoyed movies. 15 on the list. Get Out.
15, really?
15.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
I am surprised too.
Although, it did make a lot of white people uncomfortable. So
It did make a lot of white people uncomfortable. And I think maybe it was one of those movies that at the beginning people didn't know what they were going to get to, what they were going to see.
Oh, that's true.
You know? Like, I think it took a little bit of word of mouth to kind of get it rolling. And considering, I can't imagine, I don't know, I guess I can look, because it made $175 million. It couldn't have been that much to make.
I wouldn't think so. There's not a lot of special effects in it.
No. Yeah, there's not a lot of special effects. It's not a lot of, it was just a well-filmed movie. And obviously well-written. Oh, yeah, its budget was $4.5 million.
Oh, holy smokes.
Yeah, good gravy.
Yeah.
But well-earned. Well-earned, well-written movie that made you think, while still being kind of a thriller horror movie.
Yeah.
Depending on what your perspective is, determines how much horror and thriller it was.
Yeah.
But a gem, and like the real launching point for Jordan Peele's kind of brilliance, and what
For
a
his
career.
horror side.
Yeah, his horror side. Yeah, what a career that guy's had between the comedy and directing.
Yeah.
Like,
I think there's a lot of people who don't realize that he's that Peele.
Yeah, and which wouldn't surprise me that they wouldn't understand that he's that Peele. Mm-hmm. What's the one that he made about the aliens?
Shoot.
I cannot remember why the name escapes me.
Yeah, I can't
wait, it's like one word.
It is
It's
just
like-
one word, and it's a simple word.
Yeah, it's like here or aware or wow or
Nope.
nope. Nope. I mean, the fact that he had one movie that was Get Out and one movie that was Nope is kind of funny.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever tied those together until just this moment.
And then Us.
And then Us. Yeah. What crazy. What an absolutely talented guy. You know, I don't understand even what it's like to be that talented. You know what I mean? Like, there's some people that just are renaissance and like, I can do this side of it and I can do the other side of it.
Yeah.
Incredible.
To be able to do a horror side of it.
Yeah.
And a comedic
horror
side.
side of it.
Yeah. And comedy. Like,
Yeah.
that's a very big shift.
Yeah, being like there's that subclass of beloved comedy series, and Key and Peele is there. It's like Chappelle's Show and Key and Peele,
Yeah.
and In Living Color, and maybe Mad TV. I think Mad TV probably is on there, but a lot because of Key and Peele, whatever. But being like a tent pole of comedy, and then also being a horror visionary, amazing. All right, what else would I want to note about here? There's a Pirates of Caribbean movie.
Yeah, no surprise there.
Yeah, there was
That's pretty good.
the Jumanji, the redo of Jumanji was
Yeah.
there with The Rock and Kevin. It's hard to go wrong. I mean, especially back then. I think we're maybe getting close to where you can go wrong. But back then, it was hard to go wrong with The Rock and Kevin Hart and Jack Black and
Karen.
Karen Gillian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great timing with the dog.
Yeah,
fight.
right. Wanted to punctuate it. There was a Kong movie, Skull Island, which fits that action-y movie kind of big monster.
I saw that one.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the Monsterverse that
Yes.
they've started making.
Yep.
Which I'm enjoying those.
Yeah, I think
I would like more of those.
I think they're exactly what they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, especially when we talk about like Fast and the Furious. For the most part, they're exactly what they're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. This movie called The Hidden Figures.
Oh, great movie.
Great movie.
Yeah.
And also did really well.
Yeah, it did.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. What an incredible story to tell.
Yeah, I was upset that year because I forgot who won over. Sorry for the dog.
Yeah.
I forgot who won over Octavia Spencer when we get to Oscars.
Yeah.
But somebody beat her out for Best Supporting Actress,
Yes.
and I'm pissed about it.
It was Allison Janney from I, Tonya for Livonia Golden.
So she did a great job in that role
Yeah.
too. Like it was a deserved role, but I
Sure.
still feel like it should have went to Octavia Spencer.
Yeah. Hidden Figures was a great movie. I'm glad it did well. It deserved to do well. The kind of story that should be told all the time. There was a Cars movie and a Planet of the Apes movie.
Oh yeah.
Of note, Cars 3, War for the Planet of the Apes. La La Land. I just had to say it.
Well, we're gonna say it here soon when
We
we
are.
talk about
We're going to talk
Oscars
about it
anyway.
more. And a movie I wanted to make note of before we move to the awards was Baby Driver came out. And except for there's a person in the film that in general shouldn't get credit for really anything. But super fun, unique movie that used music as part of the movie, which is fun. Anytime you're going to get a fun car movie, it's fun. Jamie Foxx is unhinged in it. Kind of fun. It was a
I feel like he
fun movie.
does a very good job playing an unhinged character.
Yeah, I think he does too. I think I enjoy watching him be unhinged. I thought that was a really, and I didn't watch it until much later when a friend turned me onto it, and I was like, oh man, I missed out. This was fun. It was a fun, cool movie. We like fun, cool movies. Like A Bad Mom's Christmas. Okay, let's move on to the 90th Annual Academy Awards. Wait a
So we're
second.
looking at March of 2018 Academy Awards.
Yes, we're looking
In
at
order
March
to
of
cover the
2018.
2017 movies.
Yes, but the movie that I was expecting to talk about here isn't the movie that won this year. Did it win the year before? No, that's not right. Maybe it is.
What are you looking for?
I was looking for La La Land.
Wasn't it the Best Picture winner?
It was not. Shape of
because La
Water
La Land was 2016.
Yeah, so it must have just carried over. It must have made enough money at the back end. I mean, you win an award in 2016. You make some money in there.
I can't remember what time of year it came out in because
Yeah.
it might have been like one of the late year releases.
Yeah, I think
And
you're right.
so-
I think you're right. Well, spoiler. So, The Shape of Water, Guillermo del Toro won Best Picture. Did you see that movie?
No, I always meant to go watch it, but then never did. I was never in the mood for whatever weirdness was going to be in
It
there.
just seemed the weirdest. Like, the fact that it won the Best Picture blows my mind. Because it was just so weird.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of movies that have won that are odd.
weird.
Like Birdman won one year.
You know what? Fair enough.
But The Shape of Water, I think, because it's, what's his name?
Guillermo.
Yeah, because it's him, like, he's known for doing a little bit zany, weird, but doing it very well.
Yes. I mean, obviously, he must have done it very well. Because, they won the Best Picture. And he won, spoiler, Best Director for that movie as well. The other movies that were part of the Best Picture nominations were Call Me By Your Name.
Timothée.
Yeah. Darkest Hour, which was a British biographical war drama film about Winston Churchill, which it sounds depressing. But Dunkirk was also on the list, so apparently there were some good war movies.
Yeah, see, like going back to 1 year is all that you really need.
Yeah. You could have spread them out. Get Out was on the list. Lady Bird was on the list. The Phantom Thread, which I hear good things about, but another movie that it's a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, so he can kind of do what he wants. The Post, which is a movie I've never heard of. It's an American political thriller movie. Oh, about the Washington Post. Okay, I did hear about that movie. It's a Spielberg movie. about the Post. And then the Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, which a lot of people, that seemed to hit a lot of people, but it's the most different of all of these movies that we talked about, crime drama. A good crime drama is going to do well,
Yeah.
I think, in the awards in general. As I mentioned, Guillermo won Best Director. Christopher Nolan was in there for Dunkirk, Jordan Peele for Get Out, Greta Gerwig for Lady Bird, and Paul Thomas Anderson for Phantom Thread. That's like you could almost have a Mount Rushmore of just those folks and do okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Best Actor was Gary Oldman as Winston Churchill.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. He's very good.
Timothée was on the list. Daniel Day-Lewis in The Phantom Thread. Daniel Kaluuya in Get Out was awesome. Denzel Washington for Roman J. Israel Esquire, which I now that name came up, it's maybe the second time I've ever thought about that movie. I feel like I should probably watch it.
I don't even know if I've heard of that movie. And I like Denzel.
I do too. He was a civil rights advocate and defense lawyer. So you that's the kind of thing that Denzel can chew up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he can chew that right up. Frances McDormand won for Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, which is, I think, why I heard of it, why I know about it. Because Frances totally changed, she's very good anyway, but she was like a very specific, unique character for that movie. Sally Hawkins from The Shape of Water, Margot Robbie in I, Tonya, Saoirse Ronan, Lady Bird.
I think it's like Saoirse.
Yeah, I'm sure. I worked with Irish folks in my previous job, and I kill those all the time. So my pre-apologies. Once I see the letters, it's game over. And Meryl Streep for The Post.
Okay.
Yeah. Sam Rockwell won Best Supporting for Three Billboards. The list of other actors in here is very interesting. William Dafoe was nominated for The Florida Project, Woody Harrelson for Three Billboards, Richard Jenkins for Shape of Water, and Christopher Plummer for All the Money in the World as J. Paul Getty.
Interesting.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. As we mentioned, Allison Janney won Best Supporting for I, Tonya. Mary J. Blige was nominated in Mudbound.
Oh.
Leslie Manville for Phantom Thread, Laurie Metcalf for Lady Bird, and Octavia Spencer for Shape of Water.
Shape of Water? I thought she was in for Hidden Figures.
She might have been, but she was in there for Shape of Water.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I must be misremembering.
Yeah.
Because I thought that she was nominated for her performance in Hidden Figures.
Yeah. I was hoping I was going to be very excited to find she was on here for two different movies, because that would be fantastic.
Oh, Hidden Figures was 2016 as well. Oh, so it may have been.
So she might have been back to back. It might have been in the La La Land year, which is what I'm going to call it from now on.
Yeah. I'm going to look this up on the side, because I was confident that her and Taraji Henson, is that how you say it? I think that I thought that they both had been nominated.
Which sounds right. I think I remember that being the case as well. So it might have been one of those crossover years. While you're looking that up, I will mention that Jordan Peele won the Best Original Screenplay for Get Out. Super well deserved. And Coco won the Best Animated Feature Film.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Coco was very good.
The Boss Baby was nominated, as well as the breadwinner at Ferdinand, which I forgot happened that year, and Loving Vincent, which I don't know anything about. Is it international? Well, it's about Vincent van Gogh, animated Polish Film Institute movie that was funded through a Kickstarter about Vincent van Gogh. Almost the most art sentence I could say.
Sorry, I'll let you finish.
I was going to say, it was a Polish movie about Vincent van Gogh that was kickstarted. Is the most artist thing in the world.
Yeah. That's true. Okay, so yeah, in the 2017 Academy Awards, Octavia Spencer was nominated for Supporting Actress for her role in Hidden Figures, and then it was also nominated for Best Picture that year. I don't see Taraji on here for Best Actress, so I must be misremembering her. Or I'm thinking of it being nominated for Best Picture.
Right.
It was also nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay.
Okay. Yes. Call Me by Your Name won Best Adapted Screenplay in 2018. One's for 2017. The Disaster Artist was nominated as well. Logan got a nomination for it, which is so funny. I think it was the weakest part of the movie was the screenplay, but that's me. And Molly's Game, which is a Sorkin situation. And he always at least writes things that are interesting, and I could say that about Sorkin. And Mudbound was nominees for that.
I don't remember Mudbound. I know that maybe I haven't seen it, but I've heard a lot about it.
It is a very black film. It's not a very black film, but it is, in that it's about some World War II veterans that returned to rural Mississippi, and they're dealing with PTSD and racism. It looks heavy. Like, it looks like a very heavy film.
That sounds familiar now. I might have seen that.
Whew. That stresses me out, just the cover.
Oh, I have seen. That is an incredibly sad
Yeah.
movie.
Yep.
It has a hopeful side to it.
Okay.
And the ending is, they did give you a little bit of a happy ending,
Okay.
even though they gave you a just horrific part before
Yeah,
the ending.
I believe
but
it.
the
I
very
believe it.
last scene at least gives you a little bit of
Gives you
joy.
some hope. Yeah. Well, yeah. It's one of those things that I don't know that I'll ever get back to, but maybe one day.
It's a little bit of a tough watch. Or really, it wasn't, from what I remember, it wasn't a particularly tough watch until you got to the really bad
Right.
scenes at
Until
the
it
end.
became tough.
Yeah. And I mean, otherwise, before that, it was still a mature and serious and complex story.
Sure.
And it wasn't particularly happy,
Oh,
but
sure.
it wasn't quite so tragic until
Right.
it was.
Yeah, it led you to the water, and then eventually it made you drink. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Other notable awards here, I won't go through all the rest of them, but the best animated short film was Dear Basketball by Glenn Keane and Kobe Bryant. It was basically a film about Kobe Bryant's retirement from basketball,
Oh, man.
which I don't think I ever saw, and I don't know that I could watch it now.
Yeah, after what happened, that's...
But cool, but a cool thing. I didn't know. I didn't know that happened. So, "Remember Me" from Coco is the best original song.
You'll be shocked to know that I don't remember the song.
I've never seen Coco, so I can't speak to it.
I have seen it. I liked that movie, but not enough,
Not
apparently.
enough. "This Is Me" from The Greatest Showman was nominated. I just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, I've heard great things about the music in Greatest Showman, but I have not actually seen it myself.
Either. "Shape of Water" won best original score.
That makes sense.
John Williams had a nomination for Star Wars because, of course, he did.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't win for it.
I'm surprised he didn't. But you know what? He has enough. So it's fine. It's fine. I don't know he has a place to put all of his awards, quite honestly.
That's fair.
Blade Runner 2049 won Best Cinematography.
That makes a lot of sense.
It does make a
Yeah.
lot of sense. I don't know if I would sit back and say the movie was good or not, if I really think about it, but the cinematography was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, cinematography was very good. It also won Best Visual Effects because you'd figure that both of those would kind of go together, which I like. And an honorary award, the last thing I'll mention about it, because I think this is interesting, Donald Sutherland won a Lifetime Achievement Award, Academy Award.
Well, he's old. I honestly...
There it is!
He's been-
Yes, he's old. Boom!
He's been in a lot of stuff, but
in a
I
lot of
know
stuff.
very little about him. I know more about his sons than anything that he's been in.
He, he never was even nominated for an Academy Award. He does have a BAFTA nomination. He's won 2 Golden Globes and a Primetime Emmy Award. So he's been around. He had been around for a minute. He passed away recently-ish, actually, in June of this year.
Oh, now I feel bad for saying, well, he's old.
Look, he was old. I mean, that's true. Even at the time, even then, he was old.
Yeah, okay.
It's fair. It's fair.
He had a good life.
He had a good life, and he got an Academy Achievement Award while never winning an Academy Award. That's pretty impressive.
That does say a lot.
Right? Yeah, that's pretty impressive. All right, 2017. We didn't talk enough about La La Land, and I'm sorry, everyone. I kind of set you guys up for that. The research staff, and that's me, failed you, and I apologize.
Yeah. We made the mistake of looking at highest grossing and being like, oh, La La Land.
Yeah.
Obviously,
it's gotta be there.
We remember it being Best Picture without putting it together that it actually came out
Yep.
in 2016.
And they don't do the music and the movies at the same time around the same period. So the music could be one set of awards and the movie could be in a different set of awards.
Oh, that's right, because it did have nominations for the 2017.
Yeah, it won something, I think, we talked about, which is why it came up in the first place. So, so sorry, I promise you, one day in the future, we will do a La La Land themed episode.
I'll be sick that day.
Okay, thanks everybody. I'm losing my voice. Bye.
Bye.